The BIPOC Coach Collective proudly presents Elevate and Celebrate. This is a podcast to showcase our members, dive deeper into their journeys, and express who they are into the world. Our mission is to curate a brave and authentic space for coaches to connect and to elevate our voices globally in the coaching profession. Learn more about us at BIPOCCC.org. Your story matters, your voice matters. Let's start the show. Welcome to the latest and greatest episode of Elevate and Celebrate. I am the Vice President of the BIPOC Coach Collective. This is Alex Dumas, and I'm excited for this month to share with you, to introduce to you our guest. And before I do that, I want to make a quick announcement that we are returning in terms of our facilitation calls, our networking calls this month. So September 15th, we're going to do a little bit of a switcheroo. We're going to have our monthly networking call on the 15th. So that's on a Friday starting at 12 p.m. Eastern. And then on the 29th, the last Friday of the month, we'll have our facilitation call from our treasurer, TB Anderson. She's going to share with you the power of the pause. And that call is for members only. So if you want to have access to that call, highly encourage you to go to BIPOCCC.org, get your membership, and then you have access to that. So now, moving on to the guest and who we have here this month, I'm really excited about. His name is Michael Tucker, and he plays an interesting game with his clients. He plays a high stakes game that could mean life or death for them, depending on their leadership, depending on the decisions that they're making. And he's been somebody that I've been connected to for the last few years, and he's made such an immense contribution to our collective. He's just a tremendous presence. I can go on and on and on. But what I want you to really know about him is that he's a powerful man. He's a loving husband. He's a stand for other people to grow, to develop, to be inspired, to take massive inspired action. And you're going to get to know him. You're going to get to know about his life, his journey, the different nuances of what he's created, some things that maybe seem out of bounds, kind of scary, kind of spooky, because this is not supposed to really happen in the coaching sense, and really why I'm so proud to call him a friend, to call him a brother. So all that said and done, let me introduce you to Michael Tucker. All right, y'all. I told you I was going to get him here. At some point, I told you I was going to have the champ here. My man, Michael Tucker, welcome to Elevate and Celebrate.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's good to finally be on. Love talking to you, Alex, and so I know this is going to be a good experience and enlightening for us all, because I have no idea what I'm about to say.
That's the way I like to play it, man. It's just like it's from the heart, it's from the hip, and then we just let it go and let it rip. See, look at those bars right there. Anyway, I already set up a nice little intro for you at the beginning of this episode, but I'd love for you to kind of create yourself and share with people who may or may not know you, like who it is you are and who do you love to spend time with and support as a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So who I am, we'll start from beginning to end. So who I am is infinite. Who I am is timeless. Who I am is love. And that's the intention that I bring to everything that I do. From a external title type of situation, I am an executive coach. I work as an executive coach. I'm a brother. I'm a son. I'm an uncle. And the clients that I work with these are leaders in corporate spaces, mid-sized companies, large Fortune 500 companies that are looking to grow their division. They're looking to grow their organizations. They're looking to increase the level of communication that they have. So I work with CEOs and executives and companies that I'm sure everybody on here would be familiar with, in government agencies with lots of acronyms that I'm sure everybody would be familiar with. But my work is really about showing up and creating a clearing so that coaching can occur for them, and allowing them to live into their best self.
Love it, man. So going back a little bit deeper, right? How did you find your way into the world of coaching? I mean, this is not something that typically men who look like us, right? This shade, this style normally find themselves in. So how did this happen?
Crazy story. I mean, since you asked it that way, I want to go all the way back to my time in college, which was several years ago. Several years ago.
He's a man of a certain age. Listen.
When you're timeless and everything,
Yeah.
so things just go by. But no, so growing up, my mother had a lot of mental and physical conditions going on with her.
Mm.
And I remember one day driving to school, and I started feeling um, some feelings that I had never felt before. I didn't know if it was depression or whatever. I didn't know at the moment. And I could tell that there was something that was not going on right inside of me. And so um, I said, "Wow, my mind is making me sick. This is coming to me as I'm driving. My mind is making me sick, and I'm scared." And then the thought came to me, what if your mind could also make you well? And that thought led me to a number of books and courses and personal development information, which I sat with for um, a number of years. And after college, after time in the military, I ended up starting a marketing company. And when my mother passed, it was like the switch came on and that conversation was reignited. It was no longer comfortable for me just to do the marketing anymore. I had to tap into that conversation once again, and I had to tap into a bigger sense of purpose. And so that's how I ended up in coaching. This was 2015. Um, and after just grieving and wandering for about a year after the passing of my mother, I showed up, and the coaching industry at the time for me was something that I showed up very reluctantly to, because I had met a few coaches, and I didn't entirely understand what they were doing. And frankly, um, they didn't seem like they were very successful. And so as I showed up to this call reluctantly, I um, challenged myself to find the best people in the space that was coaching. And in fact, that's how I ended up meeting you, by studying the works of uh, oh gosh, Steve Hardison and Rich Lippman,
Yeah.
and yeah, yeah, and eventually that led me to ICF coaching um, in 2020, and here I sit. I've been just playing the game for the last 8 years, going on 9 years now, and it's really turned into something amazing.
Man, that's so awesome to hear. I hope that for you out there listening, right, is not one of these quick, like, man, coaching's here and I'm just going to become a coach and success is just going to pop out of like this journey of learning, of developing, of growing. And I love the thing you said, seeking out the best, right? Because I think that's the thing that I see, at least in entrepreneurship and coaching, that we can kind of lose sight of. You think about an athlete, they're always looking to train or practice against the best of the best, right? Because it's going to elevate their game. It's hard to be in the gym by yourself. Like, man, I'm a man. Look at me hit all these free throws. Let me run all these touchdowns. There's no resistance. There's nobody there to challenge you or push you or to open up a new way of looking at things.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah, man. So with your coaching, right? Not to say give all your secrets, but like walk me through like what's an experience like with you when someone comes to you, they're like, Michael, having these challenges, can you help us with X, Y, and Z? And they walk away and they're like, wow, we got X, Y, and Z, and we also got the rest of the alphabet. We weren't expecting that, but this is what you delivered. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting that you asked that question again that specific way because I was recently approached by a large um, resort to work with one of their leaders, and the way that I showed up to that conversation is how I show up to all of my conversations, and that is um, with my judgments and opinions to the side, and in what they call, in therapy, they call it unconditional positive regard. I call it unconditional love.
Mm,
It's just showing up as a space of possibility and wonder and care for this other human being that's sitting across from me and allowing them to show up however they need to show up in order for them to gain the insight that's already within them. It's interesting because we we think that coaching is about coaching the person in front of us. And to a degree it is, but what coaching to me truly is about, it's about coaching yourself to get out of your way, to get out of your ego, to get out of your opinions, to get out of all of that so you can just be with this other human being.
mm, yeah. We'll let that sitting for a second, right? Get out of our own ways, because so often, right? This is my experience before coaching. He's wrong. She's wrong. This is wrong. Why isn't it this way? And I started to learn that, oh, it's me. Yes, yes, the outside circumstances, they are what they are, but my relationship to him, my choice of ruminating on this and making this wrong and judging that instead of, well, is there something else I can create from that? Is there something different I can look at? This is even worth my attention. Ooh, dude, I guess not. Shoot, I mean,
Yeah. Well, not only that, Alex, but unless you're fully out of the way, you can't even hear what the client is saying in the first place. I mean, and I'm talking about the words behind the words.
yeah,
Because clients, they will always come to you with something that seems very pressing, as you know, and what's truly pressing is definitely not the thing that's coming out of their mouth.
yeah,
But if I'm with my thoughts and my concerns and my judgments, I'm never going to hear that.
yeah. So, is there any type of, I hate to ask it like in a how to, like a systemized way, but maybe this might be useful for somebody. Is there a way that you prepare yourself, or that you get yourself into a state that I'm going to listen to this person, I'm going to really be present with them?
Yeah, I would say every moment before a coaching conversation is preparation, which means my entire life is preparation to be with the client. It's how I show up for myself. It's how I show up to the gym. It's how I show up to my meditation time consistently. It's how I show up uh, to spending time with the ancestors. It's how I show up consistently to the highest and best version of myself every single day. It's how I care for myself that allows me to be able to care for them. And I think a lot of times as coaches, because we do care so much, um, we we think that we let me put it differently. We think that we need to care so much for other folks that we don't take care of ourselves. We think that there's not space for that, and actually, that's actually hurting the client.
Mm.
So, what ritual? Yes, I have a morning routine, and I have a moment by moment routine And sometimes that's just being honest about what I'm feeling in the moment.
Yeah. Being honest
Yeah.
doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be wrong. It just a love and notice. And you don't know I'm going to bring this up, but like this really ties in well here. So when you spoke about hearing the things that aren't being said, I want to acknowledge you for calling me out for something. This is several months ago. We were talking about this is during a collective call, a networking call, I believe, and we were talking about meeting in person, this and that nature. And I made kind of just a passing joke, like a really throwaway remark, like, oh, you know what? Um, I said something about like, oh, the checking account, like something about money, right? And you were like, you were on it. You were like, whoa, 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 we're not going to do that. We're not going to limit ourselves or talk small. And so I want to acknowledge you and just share my appreciation for that because that helped me wake up like, oh, my words really matter. I got to remember they constantly create. If I'm throwing it out there, I'm not putting myself in position to receive the prosperity, abundance, whatever you want to call it. So when
Yeah.
people are like, man, how does this guy listen? Like you're listening with your ears tapped into the scanner for something else than most people are.
Thank you. I appreciate that acknowledgement. And yeah, it's a habit. It's a lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
It's it's a lifestyle to hold ourselves to greatness and to hold others in the highest and best regard as well. It's it's who you become. And so I it's interesting because I know that a lot of folks talk about coaching as a calling, and it is, but it's a calling to be the highest and best version of yourself.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. And one of the things that I've seen you do, and it's a little bit different from what other, at least coaches, like at least in our collective space, have talked about or gone to, and let me know if it's all right to go to this place, right? You shared some ideas about the psychedelic realm and like enhancing and opening your mind that way. Like, are you open to talking about that? And can you just give us a little bit of that background of like what's interested you in that and what you're doing with clients with that or with yourself actually?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, wow, we're going there.
We're
Let's
going. No, listen,
go.
we go. You
Let,
know me. We
let's
go.
let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
So, psychedelics, plant medicines,
Yeah, plant like
um,
formal way to.
entheogens.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of names here. Um, I got exposed to that. I would say actually at the beginning of the year, to be honest with you, at the beginning of 2023. I've always been a straight laced kind of person. I was in the military, so I didn't touch anything. And and here's the thing: my exposure to plant medicine it was in a safe space. It was very sacred, and um, it was transformative for me. And specifically, what I'm talking about is psilocybin, mushrooms,
Mhm.
and what I experienced a connection with life and with the universe in a way that I had never had. And not only that, but my thoughts started coming together
Mm.
in ways that they never come together. And things that were once very difficult became very easy for me to think about and to take action on. That's the other piece. And so after my experience, one of the young ladies who had went on this journey with me, there was a group of us. She said, "Hey, have you ever considered integration coaching?" And I said, "Well, what is that?"
Mm.
And she said, "Well, it's basically what we just did over this weekend, which is set intentions, get clear about why you're going into this journey, taking the journey, and then integrating everything that you've learned on the journey so that you can apply to your daily life."
Mm.
And so essentially, that's one of the things that I'm able to do with clients now. In fact, I just finished a 5-month psychedelic integration coaching training program that goes so much deeper than what I just explained, but at its essence, that's what it is. And so, why might this be of interest to someone? Um, the research and the data about the use of psychedelics in terms of dealing with depression, anxiety, PTSD, a number of other conditions. Um, that research is par excellence. And these are modalities of tapping into one's way of being that humans have been doing since the beginning of time.
Mm.
And so it's a very, very powerful tool that unfortunately gets a bum rap because, you know, people like to take things and go overboard with it. And then governments like to put, laws around things.
Yeah.
But in terms of moving folks out of these types of conditions, in terms of moving folks into greater levels of clarity and creativity, plant medicines are excellent for that. And what's so powerful is is the fact that this is nature.
Right.
And I know a lot of folks are used to more traditional synthetic types of drugs, and that appears to be safe. It's interesting because we're taught that mushrooms are bad and Big Macs are good.
Man. Right. Our number one drug
And
here in the Western world, at least in America, right? Sugar, our
right,
leading
sugar,
drug. Mhm.
right, most addictive. But when you look at the data, when you look at the research, I would say that in terms of supporting folks and moving into wholeness, there's this is the biggest renaissance in personal development, mental health in a generation, and it's just now starting to come to light in a way that folks are ready to receive it. But I mean, to tell you, look, Apple was founded by Steve Jobs doing LSD. I mean, so, and I'm not saying that is for everyone,
Right.
but what I am saying is that there are tools that can give us access to greater understanding of ourselves. And if done in a way that is sacred, that is honoring, and with integration coaching, it can be very, very transformative and very powerful for someone.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being an advocate for the work of it, right? And I love that you use this word, the sacredness, right? Like no different from a coach and coachee relationship, right? That is a very sacred and intimate partnership that you're with somebody, and then to add on this level of plant medicine that opens up somebody, really exposes somebody in a whole different way, and it's a lot of vulnerability. So there's got to be a lot of trust. There's got to be a lot of support on both sides. That hey, I'm with you in this moment, whatever that is, and we're gonna go along the way and take the actions afterwards, right? The integration of it, the implementation. So super important for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that this works is, I mean, I don't refer or recommend or any of that. Um, Folks who come to a psychedelic integration coaching conversation with me have already decided that that's what they're going to do,
Right.
or they're thinking about it. They're thinking about going to Costa Rica and doing an ayahuasca, ceremony. And so at that point, my job is to ask them questions like, how do you know these people? What kind of safety, situation is there? Um,
Yeah.
what are you looking to get out of this experience? What about now makes this the most opportune time to take advantage of this? Those kinds of questions.
Yeah. Solid questions. And going on that path of intentions, I'd love to. learn a little bit more about your intentions as far as like what's on the horizon for you. Like, what are you excited about with your business, with your practice, and the way that you're expanding?
What I'm excited about going forward is refining refining my work in two areas. One, in the collaborations that I make. I
Mm,
do a lot of collaborations with a lot of different folks. I teach at the Institute for Integrative Intelligence, so I train coaches, which and the Institute for Integrative Intelligence happens to be the training partner for coaches for Coaching for Everyone. We're in the hat, y'all. Shout out for sure. Um, I'm working with them. I'm working with Kayvon Tucker over at Consciously. We're doing some very innovative things around government contracts and large corporate contracts. And what I want to see is I want to see going forward is deepening those collaborations for the intention of bringing more coaching opportunities to our community, to the BIPOC community. I'm very, very committed to that. The second thing that I am exploring in this moment, um, and it's taken me a while to get here, is along the same vein, two areas. One, exploring more opportunities to do work in the government space as a prime contractor.
okay.
So again, bringing those coaching opportunities to the family. And then another area that I'm exploring right now is something that I call community coaching. And what that is, it's creating an infrastructure where instead of just CEOs and executives get coached or nonprofit leaders get coached, the actual families get coached. And so I'm at the early stages of that, and I'm building partners for that. And so if anyone is out there and they're curious about this, I would welcome that curiosity and definitely invite them to contact me. The thing is, coaching is a powerful tool. It's unaccessible for a lot of folks,
Yeah.
um, and I'm exploring ways to make it very, very accessible for um, those who may not have um, traditional means to access it.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's powerful. So for you listening, it may not be you directly, but there may be somebody in your network that says, you know what, I want to make a bigger impact. I want to serve more, and I don't want to say underserved communities, but just the communities that have not had the access yet. And that's a key word, yet. People like you, people like myself, the folks in our collective, this is what we're all about branching that out and making sure that everyone has an opportunity to experience this. Because I just had a conversation with somebody before. They were asking me what's been the impact of coaching on your life. I'm like, do you have all day to talk? Because I can I can give you the stuff of like what's
Receipts.
happened over the last 7 years, 7+ years of my life. Like,
It's true. It's true. And why I'm so passionate about coaching and families is because I going back to my origin story, thinking about my mother and thinking about my family, and just wondering how things would have turned out had my mom had someone who had her best interest at heart to talk
yeah.
to ask the difficult questions, to evoke awareness,
Mm,
to challenge her thinking on some things, to maybe challenge how her and my father related with each other at different times, to challenge how she was approaching um, her health, um, which was very much from a fear-based kind of Western model.
yeah.
She did the best that she could, and that's why I got into coaching originally. That's the reason, was to honor her and yes, I love coaching executives, and and working with the high flyers of the world, the deal makers and shakers. And at my core, there's still this concern for humanity and the human condition. And I see coaching as an incredible way of not only helping to reduce suffering, but to allow people to walk in their fullness.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I feel that from you. That's been my experience of you. Like since the first moment we met in the collective, I was like, wow, this guy gets it. He understands what this thing is all about. With yeah, the income, all that's great. That's beautiful. But the real meat, the real juice is like that personal growth that somebody experiences. Like when there's nothing or they don't see a possibility, and all of a sudden it's there and they can live into it. Wow, what a gift!
Yeah, yeah, that is a gift.
Now tell me how you find your way into the collective, because I don't think I've ever asked you like how'd you stumble upon these rocky shores? How'd you find your way home?
Oh, wow. That's a great question, Alec. And I found my way to Collective by a mentor of mine, Colonel John Boggs. He's
Oh, the Colonel, love you,
the
John.
Colonel salute, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Colonel Boggs. He mentioned it to me one day after I had asked him to mentor me. Funny story about that. I saw him on an ICF video, and I didn't even know that he was a coach. And I called him up because I knew him through some nonprofit work. And he shared with me a little bit about what he was doing. And I said, "Would you be my mentor?"
Wow.
And he said yes. And he's been just that ever since. I mean, really supporting me, challenging me, inviting me to step out, to get uncomfortable.
Sounds like John.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So, but yeah, he mentioned the organization to me, and I've been with it ever since.
Yeah, man, you're incredibly valued member, not only just for what you bring to the table, but obviously the most important thing is for who you are, for who you're being, who you consistently create yourself to be. And you said it great, moment to moment, right? It's not, all right, I'm going to be awesome and powerful here. I'm, lights off, turn off, you know, unconscious to it. It's like, no, it's a constant process.
It is. It is the constant process. And I want to thank you for reaching out to me and inviting me to share a little bit about myself and a little bit about my story, and a little about what I love so much, which is just showing up for folks and giving them the opportunity to be great.
Yeah, it was super necessary, man. It was long overdue. I mean, you're like it's like trying to like catch a ghost sometimes. Like I had that Michael Tuck. Oh, I got him right. It's like Bugs Bunny or something like that, or Wild, the Roadrunner. Just man, I don't mean that like you're going fast. I mean you're in your spaces, you're doing your thing, you're working with your people, you're serving, and I love that. I love just people who are on the field, as I like to say it, on the field making a difference.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I'm glad you caught me.
So for other people who may not be as persistent or as determined as I am, where can we find you? What would be the best way that we can connect with you, learn more about your work, the plant medicine, the executive coaching, and just you in general?
Absolutely. So, folks can find me at tuckercoaching.net. They can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm there. Um, and if you reach out to me in either of those spaces, chances are I'll give you my phone number and we'll have a conversation.
He will. I've spoken to him on the phone. This has happened. This is real stuff.
It's it's real. I have a calendar and people can use it.
Awesome, brother. Before we wrap up, is there anything you want to say that maybe we haven't expressed yet, or anything, any last words, anything like that? Any final
Yeah,
thoughts?
absolutely. I would just say For those of you who are watching, I know that especially if you're new in the coaching game, it can seem really challenging. And what I want to invite you to do is to not quit.
Oh,
Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on the opportunity to serve, to stay the course, because I promise you, if you stay the course and you continue the work of going within for the purpose of being able to be powerful without, you won't recognize yourself a year from now. Your clients won't recognize you a year from now. You won't recognize your bank account a year from now. There's so much energy and attention and fear associated with this profession that I see a lot of times in terms of coaches just being able to take care of themselves. And that does not have to be the norm. And I'm not telling you this because, oh, look at me. I'm telling you this because it's something that I've lived, been there. Stay the course, do the inner work so that you can do the outer work. And I promise you, you'll be living a life that's worthy of you.
you put a stamp in it like that. That's a guarantee. Stay the course, man. We need powerful coaches like you. Grateful to be in this space with an amazing, inspiring coach like yourself, Michael. So thank you, man. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here with me.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for being who you be to this community and how you serve and how you show up. Um, how you be challenges me, and I just want to put that out there. Always serving, always showing up, just making space for folks, and so I really appreciate that. And big shout out to Reem
Yeah.
and Kibi and the rest of the BIPOC Coaching Collective family. I love you guys, and I look forward to spending some time with you very soon.
Awesome. Love it, y'all. Tap in next month for our newest episode. Until then, and for that, I receive in full. And we love y'all. Stay blessed. Till next time. Thanks for watching this episode. If you got value from this, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. And feel free to connect with us at bipoccc.org. See you next time.